show you is some of the really cool playlist capabilities that MediaFront has to offer. I know that I've already been kind of talking about playlists, but let me talk about like a widget-based playlist, which MediaFront by default came with. But after I demonstrate what it's capable of doing, I think people will understand the power of what it has to offer. The first thing I want to do is I want to go create my preset. So to do that, you go to Structure and you go to MediaFront Presets, and I want to create a preset that's going to show a playlist on the side. And really, this is what I originally built MediaFront to do. By default, you don't actually see anything over in the playlist because it recognizes it doesn't have a playlist to show, so it doesn't show anything. Now, here's one thing that I've never really documented, and people don't realize about MediaFront, is you can provide external playlists. So it can actually be an XML file. So I have an XML file here. So let's see, like this one right here. And when you're actually configuring the playlist, you can preview this by just copying and pasting some external. You can see this is coming from MediaFront.org, and it's an XML file playlist. If I go to this, you'll see the format. It's in a SPIF. We call it SPIF format, which is just the title and all of this. It will happily play that. And all I have to do is hit save, and it should. Why didn't it allow it? Of course, it's because it's a presentation. That's why. Yes, that's always. Yeah. Okay. Well, that does work. I don't know what's going on there. Let me try and demo another thing, which is dynamic playlists. And I did do this before the presentation. The dynamic ones I did do before the presentation, so I do know that they work. But a lot of people also don't realize is that you can feed the media player with other dynamic playlists besides Drupal. YouTube has a great playlist API where I can query YouTube, get it the G-data, and provide a filter for Drupal, and MediaFront is already been configured so that it will bring that in to your website and it will play through the MediaFront player.
That's nuts.
I've basically have just rethemed YouTube as a widget.
That's awesome. That's really
Not only
very good, man.
so not only that, but it also has pagination. Meaning it is querying YouTube to get the next playlist. So you can use other playlist providers. Now YouTube is the only one doing this currently, but Vimeo is in the works of doing it. So actually exposing their playlist APIs, and I've made it really easy in MediaFront to bring in other playlist providers.
So that's just a plugin or something?
It's just a plugin. I'll show you exactly where it is, and it's like 20 lines of code. To bring in a different provider for a playlist.
So, is your XML handler just
I don't know what's
up at the moment? I mean, like...
No, it's not messed up because MediaFront.org, this is MediaFront on the latest head, and this is that exact same playlist. So, okay, so pretend I don't know what's going on with that, but this is actually the exact same thing. It's bringing in the exact same...
That's the XML file.
This is the XML file that I just tried to load. I don't know what's going on, but I'll look at it after this presentation. Yep.
I have a little side question here on the playlist. I noticed in 1.0, and I believe I just saw it now. As you're moving the mouse down, I've noticed that you automatically scroll for us.
Yeah.
You think you might be able to make that as simply where as a checkbox possible?
It already is. You can disable something called auto scroll, and I've actually considered disabling it by default.
Right.
Because the only problem is people don't know to scroll. I guess if you hover over, you do get the scroll bar.
Your scroll bar is a little small, frankly.
Yeah.
It's
And also for those of you who
people not knowing it's there.
another 2.0 feature in 1.0, the playlist was absolutely useless in an iPad. For those in an iPad, go to MediaFront.org and you will be able to flick the playlist.
So nice.
You'll be able to flick it, and it works beautifully.
So
Yep.
What about the triple click play?
It's been fixed.
No longer a factor.
No longer, it's been
I
fixed.
love you, man.
And yep, so all of that's been fixed. MediaFront. So you can actually just grab the playlist, you can flick it, and you can do some really cool stuff with it.
It's .org, right?
Yeah, MediaFront.org. So with that said, dynamic playlists that you can bring in from other providers. What really the Drupal integration, all I've done with the Drupal integration part is I've turned Drupal into a playlist provider. So your Drupal website, once you install MediaFront, your website becomes a playlist provider, and you do that using an endpoint that MediaFront exposes called, what was it? Drupal. Actually, I'm on my local because I was having some issues with my Vagrant box. This is something that nobody knows about because I haven't documented it. I suck at documentation and I hate documentation. If you go to this path, this is a path that MediaFront exposes. And yes, Chris, I know what you're thinking. We need to turn this into a style in views. I'm working on that, but I'm still in the port process.
So it's just doing it automatically at the moment.
If get playlist of what?
It's just doing this automatically at the moment.
Yep. So this is a playlist provider, and you can pass in arguments, query arguments, the same query arguments that YouTube accepts. So you could literally replace that YouTube URL with your Drupal with this path, and it would work. So your website suddenly becomes a playlist provider, just like YouTube. That's a little nugget that nobody knows about, and I'm
limited to that one address, or is there multiple endpoints for different?
This is the endpoint. This is the view.
Okay.
The name of the view.
What about the display?
I default that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just hitting master.
It's just hitting default
Okay.
for now. So,
Fair enough.
So anyways, that's cool, right? We like that. So now that I've got my, in fact, this is just the default playlist, which means that
that should actually be a display plugin, not a style plugin.
a display. Okay.
So if you want to take over the whole page, just look at page display and run.
Sweet. Cool. Okay. So now that I have a player that's built, I can add a new page here. Let's see, add page. I'm just going to say this is player. And what you can do is change the format to media player. And the format is where you're actually going to say, I want this to be the player, this page. At that point, it doesn't ignore the fields anymore. 1.0 used to ignore the fields when you reset the style format. The fields matter because now the fields determine what fields this media player pulls in. So when I hit save, okay, so it basically turned that view into the media player. I'm still in beta, people. All right, I'm working out these kinks, so we're working on it. So,
And it's pageable.
and it's what? Yes, it is pageable. So it actually, yes, you can page back and forth.
That's based on the views paging.
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not.
Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's not based on. That's a good point. This is not based on the views paging. It's based on what you set up in the preset. So in structure, if you go to MediaFront presets, you click on Edit Player. There's playlist settings that does the page, the page limit. And the reason why I did that is for this case right here. I needed a common way of not only applying that to Drupal, but also applying those settings if they wanted to bring in an external provider. So that's why I moved that setting into the preset.
So
Page limit.
yeah, so that's. Can you dynamically rewrite that in the style?
Yeah, I can.
Then just do that with the views pager.
You got it.